Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and it's Monday. You know what that means. It's time to look ahead to Week 7 in the NFL, and maybe that's a good thing for a lot of teams that were overlooking their opponents in Week 6. We had some massive upsets. The Cleveland Browns upset the San Francisco 49ers. The New York Jets and Zach Wilson, that's right, that's Zach Wilson, beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's a crazy, crazy week that we're trying to recover from. Lucky for me, despite the fact my favorite thing all week, Derek Brown, was the 4.5 we locked in early on this show last week on the 49ers. I felt so good about that until I started watching that game and watching the 49ers slowly implode upon themselves. Then the injuries take their toll. I bet the Browns hard at plus 450 live, and I stuck with it. I was offered a cash out, D-Bro, and I said, no, I'm going to see this rookie kicker all the way through the end. I told my dad, I was like, look, we're going to be rooting for the Browns here. We watched it all the way to the end. He missed the kick. It saved my entire day. Thank you, Cleveland Browns. And here's to live betting. What a beautiful thing. Derek Brown, Sam Hoppen joining us to look ahead. D-Bro, it was a crazy week 6. I'm happy to turn the page. I don't know about you.
Very, very happy to turn the page. I need Monday night to go pretty well to end up above 50% for bets. So just a bloodbath on bets. And I was watching the same game, Joe, and because of where I'm at, I wasn't able to live bet it and hedge. That is the sharp as all get out call. But I'm watching it with my kids, and my kids go, hey, Dad, who do we want to win? And I was like, we really want the 49ers to win right now. Yeah, huh? Then we want them to win. And I was like, okay, all I need is for them to drive the distance of the field, and then we get the cover for the 4.5. That's all I need. That's all. And we didn't. We didn't get any of that, Joey.
Did not happen. Sam, no. I was texting with Derek during this game saying, oh, I'm so good for the Browns. Every time something good happened for them, I kept texting him, PJ Walker. Sam, you mentioned to me before the show started, you're not sure if any team is good in the NFL. Who's the best team in the NFL right now, if I had to ask you?
It's probably the Chiefs. I mean, like, at this point, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt with Patrick Mahomes. Their defense, we'll talk about later, I think is a top 5 defense right now. And they have Andy Reid. I mean, it's them, or it's still probably the 49ers, I think, up top. I think, again, going against one of the best defenses, if not now the best defense in the league. There was just a sort of a tail outcome for them on offense. So,
all right. Well, we're going to try to pick up the pieces from Week 6, move on to Week 7. Before we do a little bit of housekeeping, you know we like to give away free things here. So it's time to give away that Odell Beckham jersey. Again, the Ravens own, thanks to Betting Pros. So the big winner of the Ravens jersey is you, Casey Phillips. Congratulations, Casey Phillips. Get in touch with us over at mailbag@bettingpros.com with your mailing address, proof of your subscription to Betting Pros YouTube channel, and we'll get that jersey shipped out to you. Again, Casey Phillips, hit us up at mailbag@bettingpros.com. And with one giveaway gone, another one begins. So it's time to throw in your hat for this one. Brace yourselves. If you want a chance to win this Robert Tonyan Chicago Bears jersey, courtesy of bettingpros.com. That's right. This is all you got to do. Subscribe to Betting Pros YouTube channel. Drop your comments below. Ring that bell till it goes ding. I mean, you just want to talk about rare jerseys. A signed Robert Tonyan jersey. He took time out of his busy schedule to sign it for you. So there you have it, everybody. Go win that jersey again. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drop a comment below. Heck, if you win, you can give it to Pat Fitzmaurice as a gag gift. For all I care. It's hilarious. Go get it right now. All right, let's start at Thursday Night Football. Uncertainty for the Jaguars because one of the many injuries is Trevor Lawrence. We're dealing with that right now. So New Orleans at plus 1.5, underdogs at home minus 115 over at BetMGM, minus 0.5 right now. You can get Jacksonville a points bet. The number's 41.5. The money line is minus money, basically right there around 100, 102 to 110, depending on where you look. Sam Hoppen, do you see any early value in this game? Do you want to jump on this maybe before you get clarity with the injury to Lawrence, if it goes in the right direction and maybe get some value?
I don't. This is a real tricky one. Obviously, you mentioned Trevor Lawrence dealing with some injury issues. The market right now, I think, is pessimistic on Lawrence playing this game. I think in an out-of-conference game, Thursday night short week, they maybe exercise some caution with Lawrence. They also lost Tyson Campbell, their top cornerback, and Brandon Scherf, their top lineman, against the Colts this past week. So they're dealing with a number of injuries, not just to Trevor Lawrence. And so this is one that just, I think, screams under for me right now. It's a wonky Thursday night football. Both defenses, I think, are top 10 in the league. The Saints offense has sputtered quite a bit in recent games. So I think with the Jacksonville run defense being very strong against a Saints team that wants to run the ball, it won't lead to many points on Thursday night football.
All right, coming off a tough loss there in Houston, do you think that New Orleans takes advantage of this home field that they have and a Jacksonville Jags team that's a little banged up, D? Or what do you see here? Or you're just looking for the under, like Sam said?
I think the under's in play, but give me, I'll look for the Saints to cover in this one, and I want the Saints money line. Not only playing at home, this game is another one. If we get more news on Trevor Lawrence, like if he misses this game, spread's going to tilt. It's going to go in New Orleans' favor. I want to be ahead of that. And yeah, I mean, I think the Saints win this game. So if I think this money, again, if any Lawrence news drops, I think this moves more in the Saints' favor. And I like the Saints at home. There's so many different parts of pieces. The Saints offense also this last week against the Texans showed a few more signs of getting right. And Jacksonville has been a massive pass funnel this year. I think Derek Carr can walk away with another good game.
Next up is the Giants at home, coming off another loss. They are now 1-5. Maybe that call should have gone their way. We can argue that all day. They are 2-point underdogs at home to Washington, -1.5. You can get that number over on FanDuel right now. The number is anywhere from 40 to 40.5 right now. If you like the Giants to pull out this in-division win at home, +110. Now, they did get Saquon back last week, yesterday, really last week, but still the same thing. But Derek, the Giants continue to, struggle to get W's here. Sam Howe and Washington coming off a big road win. Do you see any early value on this line here between the Commanders and the Giants?
Give me the Giants money line.
Okay.
I know I'm talking about a 1-5 team, but we just saw them go toe to toe with the Buffalo Bills. Tyrod actually moving this offense, going against the Commanders, and they get them at home. If that defense can stack another good week, and Washington's offensive line has been abysmal. The Giants' pass rush is nothing to sit here and snub your nose at, so they can get pressure after Sam Howell, who I got to go look at it. I still think he is the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. I will happily take the Giants money line at plus money right now.
I'm a sucker for those 80s throwbacks the Giants were wearing last night. They looked so good.
They
looked so good. And look, they left it all out there in the field. They gave it everything against the Buffalo Bills. In your opinion, Sam, do you see any value early on in this New York-Washington game?
Yeah, not really. I originally made this line Washington by 2.5. I really don't think whether it's Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor that the line changes all that much. You think about the randomness of the NFL, like if that end of half scenario goes differently for the Giants and then they are in field goal range to potentially win that game, like I don't know if we're talking about them that differently, but it does talk to the randomness a bit. The Giants do blitz a ton on defense, and Sam Howell versus the blitz has been terrible. He has a 53.5 PFF grade, which is 28th among qualifying quarterbacks. So I think the Giants might be the play here, but it's an in-division game that I'd rather not.
No, I can understand that. And look, I think the only big difference is if they had won that game last night, you build a little momentum of confidence. Like, hey, we got Saquon back. We got a huge road victory. We're going to come home in division game and get back on track. Now you're going to see what Brian Daboll, coach of the year, is worth. Because now you're going to know how he motivates these guys. Are you 1-5 and you're quitting, or are you 1-5 or are you fighting next week? So this is going to be an interesting game, but again, one to bet on. That's the tricky part. Buffalo, the aforementioned, is going to head to New England. Boy, do they stink. I keep making money against the Patriots every single week. I'm a Patriots fan who's had 20 plus years of glory, and now I'm making money off the downside. So, I mean, it's just nothing but winning, it feels like. I thought this number would be 10. Right now it's at 9.5 over at BetMGM. You can get this one. Of course, New England is underdogs at home. Buffalo usually blows the doors off New England most of these games lately anyway. 42.5 is the number if you like New England for the upset, and I don't. It's It's plus 330 over at PointsBet. I think this number of the 9, look, I don't want to take too much out of last night, Sam, in terms of the Buffalo offense, especially after you had that moment with Damian Harris, getting hurt. I think the shades of that moment reminding everybody of last year with Hamlin, I think that was a lot for that team mentally. So I think they just go in here, beat the crap out of the New England Patriots, and I think this 9 is safe. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, really tough situation with Damian Harris. Hope he's okay. But
Absolutely.
I think the Bills can cover here. Their 4-man rush on defense is so lethal. I mean, they have the 6th highest pressure rate, but only the 29th highest blitz rate. So they are getting after the quarterback with just 4 guys. The Bills defense is a little bit boom or bust for this reason when the pass protection can hold up on the other side. The team can, give up some bigger plays, but New England has nothing on offense that's explosive. I mean, it just looks really bad. They had gone, I think, like 27 straight drives without scoring a point, a bajillion drives without even getting into the red zone. Like it's not been good for them. And I think the Bills can cover this one pretty easily.
I do too. In fact, I want to lock it in now because I think it's only going to grow as time goes. I think people are going to bet the Bills hard early on. I think this is going to go to double digits easily. And I might even tease this one too. Like, I just feel like that. Debro, your take on New England Buffalo. Offense not good for the Patriots. Defense not much better.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are just an eyesore right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bad. I don't disagree that I think that Buffalo can cover this. The only thing that I think could drag this to where Buffalo doesn't cover is the Bills have a really bad run defense. This is a perfect spot, New England at home, interdivision game, for them to slow things down, feed Mondre, feed Zeke, drag this game to the under. And to be honest, maybe the under is the only way that I want to attack this, but outside of that, I'm staying away from the spread and everything
else. Mac Jones turnovers too. I mean, that first interception he threw yesterday was so bad. It was such a bad throw, bad decision making.
That offense is broken.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just broken there. And the Buffalo Bills are going to have turnovers in this game. I'm staying away from the over-under. I'm just going straight to the Bills. That's all I'm doing here. Let's go straight to Tampa Bay. It's much warmer there. Let's go to Tampa. They are 3-2. They are -2.5 here at home. The Atlanta Falcons come in at +3 over at PointsBet. The -2.5 you can get at FanDuel. 40 is this number on DK, 39.5 over if you like that one over at BetMGM, and then +130 for the Falcons to win outright. So the Falcons got their first home loss in a while for the first home loss of Desmond Ritter's career. Can the Falcons get back on track here, Debro, or do you think that Tampa kind of recovers from Sunday's butt kicking by the Detroit Lions hand and actually win this football game?
I like the Falcons in this one. Give me their money line. I think the total and the spread are pretty spot on, but I do think the Falcons can go into Tampa and win this game. Defense still playing good. They're still pressuring the quarterback well. We know that Baker Mayfield can fall apart, and he's been surprisingly good versus pressure this year, but I think that you're looking at the outside duo of these corners. We still haven't seen a just monster blow-up game from Bijan Robinson.
Not yet.
So it's coming one of these weeks. I'm not going to rule it out that it's against Tampa.
All right, Pat, this line is basically choose your own adventure. So how do you want to choose it?
First of all, I think Atlanta struggles on early downs defensively, but Tampa Bay struggles on early downs offensively. So I think that, I don't know. It's just one we have so many question marks in these games in this slate that none of it really warrants much opportunity. I think
if it doesn't warrant much opportunity, then it sounds like you're thinking about unders when it comes to this 40.
I mean, yeah, 40 points is a lot for these teams. I mean, Tampa Bay is a pass funnel defense, but Desmond Ridder has struggled. He had the one good game last week, but I think he just needs to get the ball in the hands of his playmakers, whether it's Bijan, Drake London, Jonnu Smith, any of those three guys. Really, I think they can move the ball and potentially get the upset here.
All right, let's see if I can tempt you with the Detroit-Baltimore game instead. This one's going to be in Baltimore. It's -2.5 here for the Baltimore Ravens. You're getting the +2.5 at -105 over on DraftKings. 44 is the number on FanDuel, 44.5 on DK. If you like Detroit to win, +122. Very interesting case to be made. Some injuries, though, to talk about. David Montgomery, questionable here. We'll see how that unfolds this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown, still working his way back from injury, but did have the touchdown, and Sam Laporta also a little banged up. So Detroit's kind of the walking wounded. Baltimore coming back from travel. How do you see this one, Sam? Do you see any early value in this game?
This is another one that I don't see a ton of value in. Actually, I think Detroit is the play here. You know, we have a lot of strength on strength matchups in this game. You have the Detroit passing offense versus the Baltimore passing defense. But if you look at the quarterbacks that Baltimore has played so far this year, it was CJ Stroud in his very first game, an injured Joe Burrow, Gardner Minshew, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Kenny Pickett, and Ryan Tannehill. Like, none of those really scream, you know, we're shutting down some explosive offenses. So I think Detroit can get it done. The Baltimore rushing offense versus Detroit's rushing defense, which is top 5 in rushing EPA per play and success rate, I think could make the difference here. The Baltimore passing offense still looks a little out of sorts. They just haven't clicked it all together yet. So I like Detroit to go in and bite some kneecaps and take home a road W.
Yeah, look, I've had a hard time trusting the Baltimore Ravens all year, and that's why I'm kind of leaning towards the money line here with Detroit. I'd like to get some good reports on some players, but that being said, D, is that where you're kind of leaning at this early stage as well?
I think I'm going to take the opposite side of this game, boys.
Let's hear the argument. I want to hear it.
So Baltimore is not pressuring the quarterback, but they are an extremely good pass defense. I know who they've played has not been very good, but what are we talking about with the Lions here? If they are without David Montgomery, if Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't play in this game, Sam Laporta is banged up. What if he misses this game? You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo's not even running double-digit routes right now. So you cannot go into Baltimore if they decide they're going to make Detroit one-dimensional and have to pass. Yeah, Detroit's been pretty good at that, but I still want to take the Ravens at home. If we get more word about David Montgomery out in this game, what happens to this spread? Does it lean more towards Baltimore? I think so. So right now, before that spread moves at all, I think I'd like to take Baltimore to cover. And I mean, the money line's fine. You can bet that as well. But for me, it's mostly looking at the Ravens to cover this 2.5, because I think it could get up to 4 if we get news that David Montgomery is definitively out, and if on top of that, late week news that Jahmyr Gibbs misses this game.
Now, we do have some huge marquee matchups here in week 6, some really exciting football games. This next one is not one of them. The Chicago Bears at 1-5, hosting the Las Vegas Raiders at 3-3. Again, this is a choose your own adventure. The number's 3 for the Vegas Raiders on the road against Chicago. I think it's unlikely we see Justin Fields. Again, we're still waiting MRIs and imaging and all these things. 40.5 is the number, +135. Derek, look, I know it sounds easy to me. I think I just take the Vegas with the 3 right now before we officially get the rule. This is one of the more intriguing lines, jokes aside, of early betting. Lock in the Raiders at the 3, and when the Fields news comes out, I think this number goes to 4.5. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think go to 4.5 or 5, just depending on how much money comes in on that. I think the bets for this game are pretty straightforward. I think it's the Raiders to cover, lock in the -3, and I will happily take the under for this game as well. I mean, we're not even talking about maybe we don't get Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe it's Aiden O'Connell. Maybe it's Aiden O'Connell versus Tyson Bagent in this game.
That's true. I forgot about the Garoppolo injury too.
This line is going to go,
you're right.
I'm kind of surprised it's even
so
open
many
in the
injuries,
40s,
Derek.
man.
I can't. We just did the waiver wire podcast.
Well, that's what you got me here, Joey.
I know. I totally forgot about the
Bagent.
Garoppolo one in my head. And Sam, I mean, back injuries are no
should be
joke,
in the 30s.
But still, I'm looking at the deficits of the Bears without Justin Fields, and the first thing I'm thinking of is, well, what's the Max Crosby sack prop? That's the first thing in my head. I want to go for that one. To me, that's the best bet you can make in this game, but it's too early to make it now.
Look, if you had told me that in week 7 we were going to get a potential Brian Hoyer versus Tyson Bagent matchup, I mean, put it in the calendar, bookmark it. Like, this is primary screen
Sam
stuff.
sounds like he's serious, man. Like he's gonna DVR this, like get like a still of this, put it on the wall.
On a serious
like,
note, so I do think it is going to be Brian Hoyer if Jimmy Garoppolo can't play. And I think Hoyer is competent enough to get the ball in Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Josh Jacobs' hands. Like, these guys are their entire offense, and they're moving the ball pretty well. To your point, Max Crosby has been incredible this year. Once again, can wreck this Chicago Bears offensive line. I like the Raiders with the points here.
Yeah. Look, it's crazy days out there with all these injuries. Speaking of injuries, we'll see if PJ Walker makes his second start. I mean, why not? I mean, heck, that was fun, right? Indianapolis Colts are going to host the Cleveland Browns here in this contest. The Cleveland Browns are 1.5-point favorites over at BetMGM. You can get Indianapolis at plus 2.5 at minus 115 at FanDuel. The number for this game is 39.5 on FanDuel, 40 at PointsBet. Indianapolis plus 110, on the money line. Sam, look, Cleveland coming off a huge victory. Indianapolis coming off another disappointing loss, man. The Jaguars just have their number for the last couple seasons, it feels like. They just keep sticking it to them over and over and over again. Is this a trap game? That's my number one question here. All that goodwill, does it all go away when you go on the road here and Indy gets back at home and wins his football game? Because that's what the NFL feels like to me in Week 7 right now.
Well, you asked me about a trap game last week, and I profusely push that down, and
you did profusely push that down. What game was that again? Was it the Browns
that was,
and 49ers?
That was the Browns and 49ers.
Browns and 49ers.
And let me say,
yep, I did too. I'll raise my hand.
If you had told me that I was going to get 6 points of closing line value, I'm making that bet 100 times out of 100. Okay, it was a tail outcome, but in any case,
look, I bet the minus 4.5 on Sanford. It was the right bet.
Process was right.
However, the right pivot is when you're watching these games live, you have this opportunity to redeem yourself and look at some of these things. And I think that's one of the great things about live betting. And again, if you haven't already, download the Betting Pros app, get the best lines you can, set the game notifications, do all of the right things. Because if you're doing that, you can make a good educated investment and then see what's happening and developing in a game and see the injuries and see the play and feel what's going on and make hedges that are really smart at times, or profits in this case, in this instance. But continue, Sam. Keep telling me the story. I want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was sort of waiting for Cleveland's defense to show something against a top offense, and they did exactly that against San Francisco. Obviously, we know San Francisco dealing with the injuries on offense to Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, and Deebo Samuel. But even with them in the game, like, they were just crushing them. And I don't see how, as fun as Gardner Minshew is, they just don't even have the same level of playmakers as the 49ers. So I think Cleveland can cover this. I made this Cleveland by 3 to start. And if we get some positive news on Deshaun Watson, again, kind of a weird situation, then that that line is going to move even more in favor of the Browns.
Yeah, I'm on the Cleveland side too. Defense travels at the end of the day. We just talked about the defense on the Waiver Wire podcast on Fantasy Bros, Derek, and they were only 30% rostered still, and that's because they were coming off a bye, and then people started dropping them because they 49ers is going to be ugly. Well, it wasn't. I mean, they're for real.
Oh, it was ugly.
Well, it was
just
ugly
the game.
Ugly for Brock Purdy at times. But all jokes aside, Cleveland feels like the right side of this game to be on, and I think now is a really interesting time to jump on it before, like Sam said, if you get more positive Cleveland injury news. Kareem Hunt looked good running the football. Jerome Ford has moments at the end of the game. Cooper made an amazing catch there. Like there were a lot of things to take away positively in this momentum. But again, it's like momentum stops every week when you get these crazy things and you go, well, so much for that momentum of Cleveland. I feel like this is a trap game, so I'm being very careful of it. This is like a 1 unit bet, but I think that unit is on Cleveland right now. Your thoughts?
I'm with Sam. If this game would have been in Cleveland, this line would have opened at like minus 3.5, probably for the Browns. So even though they're on the road, I'm totally fine betting the Browns 1 to cover. you want to attack their money line, that's fine too. I think this defense is going to go into Indy and slap the mustache off of Minshew's face.
Okay, I like that. Los Angeles Rams are going to host the Pittsburgh Steelers coming off their bye. -3 for the Rams at home. You get +3.5 on the Pittsburgh Steelers at -115 at BetMGM. The 3 is at DK. 42.5 is at DK and at FanDuel as well. +146 for the Steelers on the money line. Derek, look, I think the Rams' big question now is the injuries to that backfield. Kyron Williams, Ronnie Rivers both hurt. So now it's like Zach Evans. Now, I don't know if that matters so much because I feel like they're going to throw the ball no matter what they want to do anyway. So that being said, your confidence tells me, hey, let's get in on the Rams here. Or do you want to wait and maybe people start betting the Pittsburgh side of this game and anticipating, oh no, so many injuries on the Rams?
I just don't know how much that line's going to move just based off of Kyron Williams. Like if you had bigger news, like it was Puka or Cooper, or, Stafford, somebody like that, I can't see the line moving that much for the Rams. I mean, as far as in the Pittsburgh side. So really, I want to lock this in early. Give me the Rams to cover -3. I don't want to do anything with the total because I just don't know how much pushback the Steelers are going to offer. The Rams, their offense, their defense, pick your poison. Their defense, this entire team has been a surprise this year. Like if the ball drops any other different directions, like we could be talking about a 4 or 5 win team right now. So I think that they're going to easily take care of the Steelers.
Sam, do you agree with Derek that this line probably is not going to move much all week long?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this line is actually like spot on right now. You mentioned the backfield injuries for the Rams. On the Pittsburgh side of the ball, it sounds like they're going to get Pat Freiermuth back. They could get Deontay Johnson back on offense as well. Larry Ogunjobi and TJ Watt did go into their bye week with some injuries at the end of their pre-bye week game. But
Watt's fine. He already popped his finger back into place.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like they're going to miss any time, so that's good. But it is something to monitor. We've seen that this Pittsburgh passing defense can be exploited, and the passing attack of the Rams is the best unit on that team. So I think that this line is spot on. I'm staying away right now, but I think this is going to be a really good matchup.
Arizona at Seattle. Seattle 7.5 point favorites against Arizona. You can get Arizona +8.5 over on DK on the Betting Pros app right now. 45.5 is that number. 46.5 for the under on DK. +310 for the Cardinals. Cardinals are 1-5. Look, they got a lot of moxie. They hang in there. Seattle defense not great, Sam, but at the same time, do you think that the 7.5 is a little too big of a number?
I don't think so. I think you could tell that the Seahawks offensive line was struggling against Cincinnati, but Arizona is not nearly as ferocious of a D-line. They have the worst pressure rate in the league. I think Kenneth Walker should be able to run all over this Arizona defense. You said the Seattle defense has been bad. Their run defense has been sneaky excellent this year. They're 5th in rushing EPA per play, 1st in success rate, 4th in explosive.
In your opinion, are they excellent
rush
because everybody just wants to throw the ball on them, or are they excellent on their own? Just out of curiosity, because I think the plan of attack for Seattle is throw against them. So are those numbers deflated because people want to attack them in the secondary?
I'm sure that's part of it too, but I don't know. I just think they're performing, even if they are throwing against Seattle a ton. Like,
okay,
when they are running the ball, they're struggling to do so. So, I don't think Arizona is going to be able to pass the ball super effectively against them. The Josh Dobbs hype has sort of worn off a little bit in recent weeks.
Yeah, I'll double down with Sam here. I think it's because Seattle's run defense is actually really freaking good.
Okay, I want to ask the question because I feel like that's what we talk about a lot. Like Derek, when we do the Betting Pros show, you see the DFS show on the Betting Pros channel on Fridays, we always talk about like, Seattle, let's throw the ball against Seattle. So I just wonder, sometimes there's that, apples and oranges statistics sometimes where, well, are they really good at this, or are people just not challenging them there?
You've got I mean, the other part, and I wanted to double check this real fast, but you've got five guys for Seattle grading out with 75 or higher run defensive grades for the Seattle Seahawks. And one of those guys we haven't seen a whole lot of with Jamal Adams. So if he comes back, he's a full-time guy. I think that their run defense actually goes up another tier.
Okay. Let's go to Los Angeles and Kansas City. The Chiefs are 5-1. They're at home. They're 5.5-point favorites against the Chargers. We'll see what the Chargers do tonight. 51 is the number on the total here, plus 205 for the Los Angeles Chargers to win. These are typically pretty competitive games. We've seen Herbert really kind of show his best against Kansas City, which is fun. To me, I'm just going right for that 51. I know it's tough for Kansas City lately. They seem like they're still a work in progress. They don't know who their favorite is, but you like the other side of this. You're going underneath?
Oh, I'm going under. Okay. I'm going big time under on this game. The Kansas City defense has been elite. L'Jarius Sneed is playing out of his freaking mind, man. Like, he is shadowed. I'm curious when I pull up the metrics this week. He's shadowed in almost every single game, and the laundry list of guys he has shut down has been awesome. So I'm looking at this game. This game screams the under. The only reason this game has the total that it has is these two teams and their names and the name sexiness attached to them. Outside of that, if you look at what these two offenses have done, much less the Kansas City defense, there's so many routes and paths to the under in this game. That is the big play for me in this game.
All right, Sam, your thoughts. Are you also in on the under in this one?
I am. I mean, again, the name value with the quarterbacks, Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, obviously driving this total up. But like I mentioned earlier in the show, I think Kansas City has a top 5 defense. They're top 8 in, EPA per play, success rate, EPA per drive. Their passing defense is 3rd in EPA per play and 2nd in success rate. So they've been able to slow down some of these passing attacks. Their rushing defenses is still a big concern. They're 29th in rushing EPA per play. But if the Chiefs defense can hold this Chargers offense, and then on the flip side, again, we've talked about the Kansas City offense struggling. Like, they didn't do much against a terrible Broncos defense on Thursday night. Now, Andy Reid with the extra time to prepare and maybe realizing he shouldn't be playing with his food as much as he did on Thursday night changes things. But I like Kansas City to cover this spread. I think their defense combined with their offense getting a little bit of extra time will help them cover.
Sam
playing with his food. That was
Sam
nice.
Bringing the jokes today.
Nice.
I like it. I'm here for
man.
it. Denver.
Sam, I got a quick question, man. If before we get to this next one, if you just took the name cachet out of these quarterbacks and these offenses and just look at what they were doing this season, doesn't this feel like a game that should be like 47.5-ish, if not maybe a little bit lower?
Yeah.
Based off of what these teams have actually done this year?
Yeah. And you're sort of, I think the line for the total is possibly baking in, okay, maybe this is the week for the Chiefs to have a click. Yeah. But again, their offensive output just hasn't been great.
It hasn't been. Look, that is absolutely accurate. It hasn't been great. They are a work in progress. However, look, I think you can't just say if you take the quarterbacks away, because this is a quarterback league and those two quarterbacks are capable of putting on a show. And that's why if this number was 53.5, I'd probably be more where you are, because last year they were at 54 and 51 for the two games they played against each other. 51 is just right for me. I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable with the over at 51. If you started to push it to 53.5 or somewhere like that, okay, that's where I'm out on that one. It's a razor thin margin. Speaking of razor thin margins for error, the Denver Broncos are at 1-5. They're going to host the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, you get -1 at PointsBet. For Denver, you get +2 over on DK. 44.5 is the number on BetMGM. 45 at FanDuel. If you like Denver to get another victory at +110 at DK, you can go bet that. Sam, what are your thoughts on this one? You're a Packer guy. Jordan Love not coming off a really good performance. So your thoughts?
The Packers need Aaron Jones back. I mean, I don't want to put a ton of value into a single running back, but A.J. Dillon has played not well this year, and they just need some explosiveness back in that offense. As of this morning, Jones was practicing, so that's good to see. I believe Darnell Savage was practicing, and Quay Walker was doing some stuff off to the side, but I like the under here. The Broncos defense hasn't been very good, but these offenses are sort of sputtering at times this year. The Packers got off to a hot start, but have quickly regressed past the mean, to be honest. And I think even though Denver can't get much pressure on the quarterback, they'll be able to do enough to keep this one under.
All right, Derek, your thoughts on this one before we go to the two games that everybody really is excited about.
I think Sam brought it up at a point that I wanted to hit on this. With Denver having a bottom, I don't think they're sixth worst in pressure rate this year, and that's been the Achilles heel for Jordan Love. He just melts under pressure. And if their pass rush can't get home, I like the Packers to win this game. I do lean towards the under just because of how both of these teams have played. But the Aaron Jones news, I think, could swing a little bit. We were talking about with Kyron Williams a little bit. So if you wanted to take the Packers to cover and win this game outright, I don't hate the money liner to them covering the spread.
All right, let's go to Miami at Philadelphia. This is a good one here. Sunday Night Football. Let's go. The Eagles are minus 2.5 point favorites at this one over on DK at minus 110. 52.5 is the number on FanDuel. 53 over on DK. If you like the under, you can get Miami at plus 125. So look, Miami's had some injuries here with the backfield. We know that Tyreek Hill had that cramp issue, but look, this is a historically good offense for the Miami Dolphins. Like, we're talking about all-time great is what we've seen so far. Derek Brown, is that going to travel to Philadelphia in your opinion? And if so, do we just take Miami on the money line at plus 125? Or do we see the Eagles, after a bad loss, get right here against Miami?
I could see either one of these teams pulling this win out. And I'm kind of surprised. Like, I think this spread should be a little bit closer than what it is. I just want to I want to hit the over for this game. And because you're telling me Philly is going to force the Dolphins to be more pass heavy because they are a pass funnel. Yeah. Okay, fine. Tua's going to take to the air. Tyreek, Waddle, let's go. And Philly can counterpunch. Mm-hmm. Philly can push this offense. So I'm all on. Look, I understand this is at 52.5. I don't give a crap, man. Like, both these teams could put up a ton of points. I want to hit the over, and I want to stay away from the spread and the money lines in this one.
How about you, Sam? How do you see this one? Because this is the marquee matchup. This is a standalone game. There's going to be a lot of betting on it. Do you want to go ahead and be on the Miami side, the Philly side, or just the side of the over?
I'm on the Miami side here. Philadelphia is struggling with some injuries in the secondary. Reed Blankenship left early. Bradley Roby left the game earlier. Darius Slay did not play. Like, who is going to cover Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? Like, I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Lane Johnson left the game early as well, which is a huge potential loss for a Philadelphia offensive line that is potentially the best in the league. The Philadelphia pass rush has not been phenomenal. They're 15th in pressure rate this year. So I like the Dolphins money line here.
All right, last one here. San Francisco 49ers, another team coming off their loss. Man, if the Eagles had just beaten the Jets, they would be right at the top of that NFC where we're looking down at everybody. They did not handle their business. Neither did the 49ers. They're going to go play the Minnesota Vikings. They are now 2-4. Look, the Vikings are not great. So one would imagine here that San Fran should go in there and take care of Minnesota, maybe take out their aggression. But Sam, the number's a good size. It's 7 here. Christian McCaffrey, questionable for this game as of recording this. 44.5 is the number for this contest. Minnesota plus 260 is a big number on the money line. So I guess at the end of the day, this is just a question of, the San Fran, in your opinion, just bounce right back. I mean, they did have losses on the offensive line side too. A lot going on here for San Fran. Do you think that really affects Purdy on the road against Minnesota? 2 consecutive road games too?
Yeah, I think it could. I mean, the discourse with Brock Purdy this week, that's going to be interesting to follow. But
you take all the toys away, all of a sudden he's not Tom Brady 2 anymore. He's not Tom Brady 2.0. Right. What a shock.
Right.
And he still had Kittle than IU.
So I do think.
I mean, come on, jeez.
He did. And I think something under discussed is obviously the Trent Williams injury. He apparently was seen wearing a walking boot after the game. Now, that's not a death sentence by any means, but this Minnesota defense hasn't been as terrible as expected, at least going into the season. They're obviously not the the Browns defense by any stretch of the matter, but this is what I'm staying away from for right now. Potentially could use it in a teaser leg, teasing San Francisco down to 1.5 or something, depending on the line. I don't really know. Again, I'm having some trust issues with the 49ers right now, as you can probably tell. But it also is Kirk Cousins in primetime, and he has struggled in those situations. So I'm staying away for right now. I do think this is a really interesting matchup, though.
I think it's an interesting one from a prop standpoint. The game itself, that's the one where I struggle here because, it's not that I don't have faith in the 49ers. It's just, it's a weird scenario now with the injuries on top of it. And the walking boot's never a good thing. I mean, the walking boot typically means you ain't playing this week at the very least. So, Derek, your thoughts on this one as we close out week 7 look ahead?
All these lines are really good. They're really spot on. The spread, the totals, I want to stay away from those. I don't want to sound like I'm insane here, but I do see a scenario where the Vikings could win this game. If you look at how their defense stacks up against this, if no Trent Williams this week, we don't get Debo. He doesn't have CMC. And the Vikings are blitzing at the highest rate in the league. If that pressure gets home, and their pressure rates are going up. You're talking about a defense that started the year bottom 3 in pressure rate. Now they're up to middle in the road. Like, this defense is finding itself a little bit, and I think at home as well. If this game was in San Francisco, I feel a little bit better about this, but there are avenues for the Vikings defense to take this home for them, especially as banged up as the 49ers are, because the Vikings run defense has been top 10 this year. So if you can make them one-dimensional, you can blitz Brock Purdy, and we saw what happened last week, and the only toys that he has to play with is Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. I'm not going to tell you that I'm betting the Minnesota Vikings money line right now, but it is really freaking intriguing.
All right. I want to hear what everybody else is in on, so make sure you drop your comments below in the YouTube channel, and don't forget to also make your picks count. Go to bettingpros.com/NFL contest. Join it today. The winner on the year gets a JSN autographed jersey, Jackson Smith and Jigba, but we're also doing weekly prizes, monthly prizes. You don't have to make bets, just make picks. It's easy as that. Download the Betting Pros app. Again, click that community tab, join the NFL contest, or just go to bettingpros.com/NFL contest to go win. And remember, when you drop your comments below in our chat here in the YouTube, you might win that Robert Tonyan jersey. That's right. I want you to win that. I'm talking to you. You know who I'm talking to. You know you want that jersey. So there you have it, everybody. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Derek Brown and Sam Hoppen, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.